Hey guys, I'm Casey Ferris. Thanks for checking out another one of my videos. If you don't know, Adobe just came out with their Creative Cloud 2015 update, which includes updates for all of their programs, some small things, some big things, but there's one big thing in Premiere that I have been just dying to get my hands on, and that's the Lumetri color panel. And if you're unfamiliar with this feature, it's basically a color grading interface built right inside of Premiere, and it's optimized with the workspaces to let you color grade your footage right inside of Premiere, really fast, really easy. It's awesome. So I've been chomping at the bit to get a hold of this, and I've been playing with it and nerding out for the last couple days, and I wanted to see what it would be like to actually use Lumetri to color grade an entire project. Not just a clip, not just fixing little things, but actually doing the full-blown complete color grade of the sequence. So that's what I did. I shot this short video with my son Chase, the cutest being who's ever lived, and I went through and color graded each clip just like I would in Resolve, tried to match them together and fix problems and do all the things I normally do. And I gotta say, it actually works pretty darn well. The Lumetri color panel has 5 sections. The first is basic color correction, which lets you change white balance, temperature, tint, saturation, exposure, contrast, highlights, all in sliders that are a lot like the Lightroom or Camera Raw sliders. Those work super well for adjusting shots, changing white balance, and kind of fixing all the little problems and matching shots together, doing your first pass color grade. There were a couple shots that I intentionally shot at the wrong white balance to see if it could do a good job fixing them, and it was pretty easy just to warm the footage up and match it to the other shots. All of this is shot on Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Most of it's shot in ProRes LT, but there's a couple shots in RAW. Just wanted to see how RAW would act inside of the Lumetri panel. And for most shots, you can adjust your exposure and even recover highlights, which is pretty awesome. But one thing I found is that you can only recover about 2 stops or so of highlights. After that, it kind of rounds it off. So you do lose a little bit of detail if your highlights are overexposed more than 2 stops, which of course would be the case with normal footage, but with RAW, that's a little bit limiting because if you're familiar with working in DaVinci Resolve or Camera Raw, you'd know that you can recover, 4 or 5 stops relatively easily and still have detail in the highlights. And so for the couple shots that were exposed to the right, I ended up doing a workaround where I would send the clip to After Effects and I would use Camera Raw to recover those highlights and then save and close the project, which of course would dynamic link into Premiere and give me my highlights back. So it would be nice to recover more than 2 stops, but I'm not gonna complain because this is a really great tool, and other than that, it does everything else really well. One thing that's really useful about this panel is under the curves, there's a hue saturation curve. And this is a curve that lets you select a specific hue and adjust the saturation of just that hue. So I had a shot of my son with a little cup on his head that was a little bit too red. And so I brought that down without any trouble. And because it's a curve, there weren't really any problems with, pulling keys or any weird stuff like that. It just worked out pretty well. And at the end, I put an adjustment layer over everything, and I used that same Lumetri panel to add a custom Lut, which happens to be from the Ground Control Rain pack, which is gonna come out in a couple days. Unless you're watching this in the future, then it's already out. But it just makes your footage look a little bit more filmic. There's some vintage looks in there, there's some kind of film stock looking looks. But overall, it was really smooth, and I think the best part is I didn't have to render anything out. I didn't have to round trip to any other program except for the After Effects weirdness. And so I could go back and change my edit because I decided that there were a couple shots that I didn't actually want in the edit, and I was already done with color. So I went in and took out those shots without any trouble because I'm still in the same program. So altogether, I think this Lumetri color panel is really powerful, and I think it would work great for doing basic grading and fixing little problems in any real-world project. If you want to see a more detailed tutorial on this process, leave a comment below and I'll post some more detailed videos on this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to hit like and of course, subscribe to my channel if you want more tutorials on color grading, editing, post-production, all sorts of goodness. Once again, my name's Casey Ferris. I'll catch you next time.